Hi guys, and welcome back to Cooking with Cody. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make an amazing fresh Pico de Gallo that is sure to impress you and your guests. I've made this recipe a number of times at the house when I'm just sitting down to watch a movie and if I want something healthy to snack on, or if I'm hosting for a group of people and I want to make some great appetizers. Everyone has always loved this recipe and I'm sure that you will too. So if you guys are ready, let's get started. Alright guys, so the ingredients that we're going to need for this recipe are 4 on-the-vine tomatoes, some minced red onion, half of a jalapeno that I've already seeded, half of a lemon, and a bunch of cilantro, and then we'll just need a little bit of kosher salt at the end for flavor. So let me get these things out of the way and then we'll go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start by cutting up our tomatoes. I've already rinsed and prepped all the vegetables so they're ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just quarter the tomatoes. So cut them once in half and then cut them once again. Okay. Now once you've done this, what I like to do is seed the tomatoes. Now you don't have to seed them, you could just dice these up and throw them in the bowl, but I find that the mixture becomes pretty watery if you don't take the seeds out. So what I like to do is I'll typically take my fingers and I'll just put one on the end, one on the top and one on the end like this. Take the tip of my knife and I just run it kind of along the skin of the tomato so that I can remove the seeds and keep the flesh. The inside you can discard, or I like to eat them as a snack, so that's how I get rid of them. But then what you'll be left with is just the flesh of the tomato. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with all of these, and then we're going to start cutting them up. So again, fingers here, kind of push down, take the tip of your knife, run it along the tomato, or the seeds and in between the flesh, and then just push down and cut off that top, and you're left with the seeds and the flesh. Okay, once you have your 4 pieces of tomato, now what you're going to want to do is cut them into cubes. To do this, I'll typically just make thin slices out of the tomatoes first off, and then I will turn them and come back and cut them into squares. Now, I would make your squares pretty small. I find that unless you want your salsa to be really chunky, but I think the smaller that you cut the tomato, the little bit better it is and the more palatable it is when you're trying to put it on chips or put it on tacos or nachos or something along those lines. So just go ahead and cube up your tomatoes, and then we can throw them in the bowl and get started, and I'm going to be doing this with all of the tomatoes. Okay, now that you've got all your tomatoes cut up, the next thing to add is your onion. So I've got my red onion here that I've already pre-diced. If you guys aren't sure how to dice an onion, I've made a video on 6 different ways to cut an onion that you can review. And it'll show you in there how to do this. But I'm going to add roughly about a 1/4 cup of red onion. And these measurements don't have to be perfect, guys. I mean, this is really going to be all the taste. So when you get done making this, I mean, if you need a little bit more onion, add a little bit more. If you didn't like so much, that you can take a little bit out. But it doesn't have to be like a perfect ratio. I'd say it's about a 1/4 cup to 4 tomatoes is what I tend to like. But if you wanted a little bit more oniony, add some more, right? If you want it to be more cilantro, add more cilantro. If you want more jalapeno, add more jalapeno. It's completely up to you on the taste. So add the red onion in that's been diced. Next, we're going to dice up our jalapenos. Now, I like to dice the jalapenos really thin because I don't want my guests to have a big bite of jalapeno. So I find if I cut them into really thin strips and then I cube them, you can barely tell that they're hot, but you still get the flavor of the jalapeno because you don't get a big bite of it. You definitely want this in there. just to add the flavor to the dish. It's not the same without it. So I encourage you guys to do that. But if you don't like it hot, cut out the seeds. Then you won't have the capsaicin from the seeds. And cut them in nice small bites, and you won't notice that it'll be spicy at all. Okay. So we dice them up into little cubes. Put that into your mix. Okay. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add the cilantro. Now, for the cilantro, what I'll typically do is I grab the stem of the plant, and then I just kind of run my knife horizontally along, and I trim off the leaves. I don't want to get a ton of the stems. I'm just trying to kind of shave the leaves off because that's the part that I'm going to want to eat. So I'm just going to shave that off, kind of pull these down. Like so, and then you're left with these stems. Those I'll typically just discard. I've got a scrap bowl right up here. Always have a scrap bowl. It makes your prep work so much faster, so much easier, just so you're not running to the garbage all the time. I'm going to pull out some of these extra stems. Okay. Now, to cut up my cilantro, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my cilantro here and I'm going to kind of roll it into a cigar. So just bunch it up and then start to roll it. And you'll get this nice, like, tight little packet of the cilantro. And then what I'm going to want to do is just cut that up really fine. So I'm just going to go along and slice this really fine. So again, I don't have any giant chunks of cilantro when I'm biting into my dish. Now, how thick you want to cut these, again, is completely up to you. It just depends on how you want the consistency of the dish to come out. If you want big chunks of cilantro, then that's fine, or bigger chunks of tomato, that's fine. But I tend to like my Pico de Gallo to be in a lot smaller chunks, just so you can get a good mixture of everything when you bite into it, and so it sits on a chip really well. So once I've chopped this up, I've probably got, again, maybe a quarter cup of cilantro. I'll put that into my bowl as well. Really love the colors in this dish, guys. The red, the purple from the onion, the green. It's just a really pretty dish, pretty appetizer. Now, once I've got that in there, I'm then going to take my half of my lemon, and I'm just going to squeeze the lemon after I've cut it in half over my hand. And what I'm doing is I'm just squeezing and I'm allowing the seeds to fall into the palm of my hand and letting the juices run through. So just give your lemon a squeeze and catch the seeds in your hand and allow the juices to just drain through your fingers. And the smell, guys, the smell is just amazing when you're squeezing that lemon over the cilantro and the tomato. It's just such a really fresh dish. Super healthy, low calories. Okay. All right. So I've got in there my tomato, my cilantro, my red onion, a little bit of lemon juice, and then you just need a touch of salt for some flavor. And again, this is to taste, so I just usually add a couple sprinkles, and then I will give it a mix and see how it goes. So let's mix this up. Okay, now you got it mixed. Now you always want to taste your food, so make sure you give it a try and see what it needs. Does it need more salt? Does it need more onion? Does it need a little bit more lemon? You got to taste it and try it. Every good chef tastes their food before they serve it. Now, to me, that's just perfect. It's got the right amount of salt. It's got some good tang from the lemon. Super fresh from the cilantro. You get a little bit of bite of everything. So for me, that's great. And that's it. It's just that simple. And now you've got a fresh Pico de Gallo. All right, guys. So that's it for our fresh Pico de Gallo. Here it is, freshly made and ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and take a bite. I know it's good, but I just want you guys to see. I'll kind of give you a test here to see what it tastes like. You guys, this recipe is so simple, but it is absolutely delicious. I mean, the zip from the lemon, the little bit of that salt that just brings out the flavor, the freshness from the tomato and the cilantro, the onion, it is absolutely wonderful. You guys gotta try it. I highly encourage you to make this at home. It doesn't take much time at all. It's fresh, it's healthy, it's delicious, and I know you guys are gonna love it, okay? If you guys like this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment down below. Also, if you want to help support the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified of all my future content. I really hope this video helps you guys with your cooking and improves your skills in the kitchen. So thank you, and until next time.